Hey everybody, welcome back to San Diego Market Movers. I'm your host, Jason Yoss. I'm here with Chris Pacilio. Chris, thanks for being on here today.
That's me. How are you?
I'm doing great. I appreciate you coming in. Chris, a lot of the questions we've been getting from our audience is mostly around like buying, and specifically renters are having a tough time.
Yeah.
So what are you telling renters when they come to you saying, I want to buy, but I'm stuck in this rental mode? What are you telling them?
Yeah. So I've been in this situation myself, so I understand what it's like to be a renter, to want to buy a home, want to own your home, stop paying rent for whatever reason that is. There's really three things that we talk about to renters. And what we like to say is, especially if you've been out there a little bit, you're trying, and it's not working out. Number one is adjust your expectations, okay? And typically this is adjusting down a little bit, okay? Yeah, let's be honest. You're looking for a house that needs a little more work. It might not be quite in that quadrant that you were looking at. Maybe you got to expand. 5 miles can even make a huge difference on finding a great home that fits you, fits your budget. Number one, adjust expectations. Number two is kind of obvious, and that's adjust your price. Hey, if you can go back to your lender and you can say, can we afford a little more, or go through your budget, see if you can add a little bit more into your mortgage, then you adjust your price, and then you start looking, at that price range for something that works for you. It works for your family. And number three is keep renting. Renew your lease and start saving money. But before you do that, I always advise, please get a plan. And that plan should include talking to a mortgage lender. And you're like, well, I'm not ready. I can't afford it. I don't have that. That's fine. Talk to them anyway. My quick story is I called up a lender. This was years and years ago. I said, I really want to buy a house. They're like, great. You got a little bit of money. You got a job. Okay, let's check it out. They're like, you're not quite there yet, Chris. I'm like, okay, I want to buy now. Like, listen, do these 3 things over the next 12 months and call me back. Sure enough, call them back in 12 months. I'm ready to go. So without that knowledge, you're not going to know what your plan is. And if you're not making a plan, you really don't know how you're going to get into a property. So I always advise, talk to a lender. They don't have to hit your credit. People get really concerned about credit. Oh, is it going to be a credit hit? It's called a soft credit hit. And it's and oftentimes they don't even have to do that. But you really want to make sure that they're looking at your situation and they're paying attention to you and doing what's right for your family. And so that if your goal and for your family and your life and everything is we want to own a home, you've got a great plan. So those are really the big 3 things.
I love that takeaway. What about that question that I know we hear it a lot when they're asking about timing the market? Is this the right time? How do you talk to them about timing the market when it comes to rent versus own?
Yeah, I mean, just as a general rule, it's just very difficult to time the market. And what's interesting is that the stock market moves very quickly. We saw that during the pandemic. We saw that during big swings. Real estate moves slower. It's much more like a glacier. But when it starts moving in a direction, it generally stays going in that direction. And when it hits a peak or it hits a valley, and my friend likes to call it an upside down rainbow, you've probably heard that before, that's when it's going to change. And it's just not headed back to where it was. Now, in late 2022, we saw a little change because the interest rates put a lot of people out of the market, and we saw the prices actually coming down, and now it's changed again. Now it's not skyrocketing like it was. Timing the market is just very, very difficult. The thing you can control is actually the interest rate, and that is done through buy downs. That's a whole nother subject as far as how buy downs work. But you talk to a lender, you talk to a mortgage expert, say is that even an option for me to save on the interest rate? What you can't control is the price you're going to pay on the house. It used to be we could kind of go, oh, honey, I like that house. Yeah, maybe we should put in an offer. It's just, that's a long, long time ago. And now it's like you got to be prepared for battle in a little bit. So.
I love it. That's great feedback, especially like I said, there's a lot of renters out there that are hurting, and they want to buy a home. They just didn't know the process and the steps. So, Chris, thanks so much for sharing that with us. Everybody, thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week.